Pause for a moment and listen closely, because this is not appearing in your life by accident. Something has been stirring in your spirit lately, an unexplainable pull, a quiet urgency, a sense that you are being summoned without hearing a physical voice. You may have tried to ignore it, blaming it on emotions, stress, or coincidence, but deep down you know this moment feels different. This is not random content crossing your path. This is a divine interruption, and it is meant for someone God is calling right now. There are moments when God does not whisper, He interrupts. He steps into your routine, breaks the pattern of your scrolling, and arrests your attention because what He is about to release cannot wait. You didn't find this message, it found you. Heaven aligned timing, circumstance, and awareness so that you would hear this now, not later. And if your heart feels suddenly alert, if your spirit feels exposed or stirred, that is confirmation that this call is landing exactly where it was intended. You may feel unqualified, you may feel tired, overlooked, or unsure of your place. You may even be asking God quietly, why me? But understand this: God does not call the loudest voices, He calls the willing hearts. He does not wait until you feel ready, He calls when obedience matters more than confidence. The very fact that you are questioning yourself is proof that this call is not rooted in ego, but in divine purpose. Think back over the past weeks or months. Notice the pressure you've felt, the isolation, the pruning, the sudden distancing from people and habits that once felt familiar. This was not loss, it was preparation. God has been clearing space, removing noise, and sharpening your sensitivity so you could hear Him clearly when the call came. What felt like delay was alignment. What felt like silence was instruction forming beneath the surface. Right now, God is scanning hearts, not resumes. He is looking for someone who will listen when others scroll past. Someone who will pause when others rush. Someone who will say yes before knowing all the details. This call is not about status, visibility, or perfection, it is about availability. And if you are still here, still reading, still feeling that tightening in your chest, then you are already responding. This is not a message for mockers or spectators. It is for the one who has been faithful in private, the one who has cried silent prayers, the one who kept believing even when nothing changed outwardly. God has seen every moment you thought went unnoticed. Every time you chose integrity over convenience. Every time you stayed kind when it cost you. Every time you waited when you wanted to run. Heaven has been recording what people overlooked. You may feel like you are standing at a threshold, unsure whether to step forward or stay where it feels safe. But understand this: staying comfortable can sometimes be the greatest disobedience. God is calling you out of passive faith into active trust, out of waiting mode into movement, out of doubt into decision. This call is not meant to scare you, it is meant to awaken you. There is a reason this moment feels weighty. Divine calls often carry pressure, not because they are heavy, but because they matter. God is entrusting you with timing, sensitive purpose. What He is about to do through you is connected to now, not someday, not when things feel easier. Now. And the enemy would love nothing more than for you to dismiss this as just another message and move on unchanged. But something inside you knows better. You've heard God before, not always audibly, but unmistakably. In moments when your spirit stirred without explanation, in moments when peace or urgency arrived without logic. This is one of those moments. God is drawing near, not to condemn, but to commission. Not to expose weakness, but to activate calling. You don't need all the answers to respond. You don't need a full roadmap. You only need willingness. God has never required clarity before obedience, only trust. The next step will be revealed after you acknowledge the call. Light follows movement, direction follows surrender. And right now, heaven is waiting on your attention. If you feel a quiet yes forming in your heart, even mixed with fear, that is enough. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is obedience despite it. God is not asking you to be fearless, He is asking you to be faithful. Faithful to listen, faithful to pause, faithful to say, "Speak, Lord, I am here." This is the beginning of something sacred, a moment that may look small outwardly but carries eternal weight. God is calling someone right now, and if this resonates with your spirit, it is because that someone is you. Do not rush past this. Do not minimize it. Honor the call by staying present, because what comes next will require a heart that is already listening. There is a reason your heart feels pulled toward someone lately, even if you don't fully understand why. A name may come to your mind without warning, a face may appear in your thoughts, or a situation may keep resurfacing no matter how hard you try to push it away. This is not imagination, and it is not emotional coincidence. God is positioning you as a living answer to a prayer that someone else has been whispering in secret. What feels like a burden on your spirit is actually an assignment being placed into your hands. Somewhere right now, someone is asking God for help they don't know how to explain. They are praying in tears, in silence, or in exhaustion, believing that maybe God has forgotten them. What they don't see is that God is already moving by preparing you. The comfort you learn to carry, the wisdom born from pain, the patience shaped through waiting, all of it was never meant to stop with you. God never wastes experience. What He allowed you to endure was shaping you into the bridge between despair and hope for someone else. You may be tempted to think, surely God could use someone else, someone stronger, more confident, more spiritual. But God chooses with intention, not convenience. He chose you because you understand the language of suffering without needing explanation. You know what it feels like to be overlooked, misunderstood, or broken and still believe. That understanding gives your presence weight. Your voice carries credibility, not because it is polished, but because it is real. This assignment may not look dramatic. It may not involve a stage, a microphone, or recognition. It may be as simple as reaching out, speaking a word at the right time, listening without judgment, or showing up when no one else does. But never confuse simplicity with insignificance. Some of the most powerful miracles happen quietly, unseen by crowds but witnessed by heaven. God often moves through obedience that looks ordinary but carries eternal impact. What you are being asked to do matters more than you realize. One conversation could redirect a life. One act of obedience could interrupt a destructive cycle. One moment of courage could remind someone that God still sees them. And the enemy knows this, which is why doubt, fear, and delay have been pressing against you so heavily. Resistance is often the clearest sign that what you are carrying is dangerous to darkness. You may feel unprepared because you don't know exactly what to say or do. But God is not asking you to perform, He is asking you to be present. He will supply the words when the moment arrives. He will guide your actions step by step. Your responsibility is not perfection, it is availability. When you show up, heaven shows up with you. Think about the path you've walked to get here, the lessons you learned the hard way, the prayers that felt unanswered but shaped your character, the doors that closed even though you begged them to stay open. None of that was wasted. God was equipping you with discernment, compassion, and strength that could not be learned any other way. You are not behind. You are right on time. This assignment is also connected to your own healing. When you pour out what God has placed in you, something in you will be restored. Obedience often unlocks freedom we didn't realize we were still seeking. As you help carry someone else's burden, God will lighten yours. As you speak hope into another life, clarity will come into your own. This is how God multiplies purpose, by letting it flow, not stagnate. You don't need to know the full outcome to obey the instruction. You may never see the full impact of your response on this side of eternity, but heaven measures success differently than the world. God values obedience over applause, faithfulness over recognition. The assignment is not about how it looks, it's about who it reaches. Right now, God is trusting you with influence, even if you don't see yourself as influential. Influence is not always loud. Sometimes it is quiet consistency, compassion in action, and courage in small decisions. And God has seen how you handle small things. That is why He is inviting you into something that requires your yes. If you feel a sense of responsibility rising in you, that is not pressure, It is purpose activating. God is not forcing you, He is inviting you. He honors your free will, but He also reveals what is at stake. Someone's breakthrough is tied to your obedience. Someone's prayer intersects with your response. This is sacred ground. You were not chosen because you are perfect. You were chosen because you are positioned. Positioned by your experiences. Positioned by your endurance. Positioned by your willingness to listen when others turn away. God is placing someone on your heart because He trusts what He has built in you. Do not underestimate what God can do through a single act of obedience. What feels small to you may feel like rescue to someone else. What feels uncomfortable may be the very thing that shifts a life's direction. This is your assignment, not to fix everything, not to save anyone, but to show up as a vessel God can move through. And when you do, heaven will handle the rest. What happens next depends on what you do with this moment. There are divine moments that do not repeat themselves, not because God is unmerciful, but because timing matters in ways we cannot always see. Right now, you are standing in one of those moments. You can feel it in the urgency pressing on your spirit, in the restlessness that will not let you move on easily. This is not meant to create fear, it is meant to awaken responsibility. God is calling for a response. Not tomorrow, not when you feel more confident, but now. Delay often disguises itself as wisdom. You may tell yourself you will act later, pray later, reach out later, or speak when you feel more prepared. But obedience delayed can become obedience denied. When God gives an instruction, it carries a window of opportunity. Missed timing can mean missed impact. The call does not disappear, but the moment attached to it can pass, and with it, the unique breakthrough God intended for that time. There is a reason you are being urged to move quickly. What God is doing is time-sensitive. Someone is at a crossroads, and your obedience is meant to meet them there. If you hesitate, they may turn in the wrong direction. If you respond, you may become the confirmation they need to choose life, hope, or healing. Heaven sees the full picture, even when you see only a fragment. Fear will try to convince you that silence is safer. It will whisper that you might be misunderstood, rejected, or ignored. But silence has consequences too. Ignoring a divine prompting slowly dulls spiritual sensitivity. Each time you delay, the voice becomes easier to dismiss. Not because God stops speaking, but because the heart learns to resist. God is protecting you from that numbness by urging you to act while your spirit is still responsive. This moment is not about pressure, it is about partnership. God could act without you, but He chooses to work through willing vessels. That is the honor and the weight of being called. You are being invited to participate in something larger than your comfort. Comfort rarely produces transformation. Obedience does. You may feel unworthy of such responsibility, but worthiness is not the requirement. Willingness is. God already accounted for your weaknesses before He called you. He is not surprised by your fears or limitations, but what He is looking for is your yes in the middle of uncertainty. Faith is proven not by understanding, but by movement. Understand this clearly. Responding does not mean you will suddenly have all the answers. It means you will take the next step even while your hands are shaking. It means you will trust God enough to move before clarity arrives. Clarity often follows obedience, not the other way around. When you step forward, God meets you in motion. There is also protection in obedience. Many people think obedience only benefits others, but it also guards the one who responds. When you align with God's timing, you step into covering. When you ignore it, you step into unnecessary struggle. This is not punishment, it is consequence. God is warning you because He loves you and wants to spare you from regret. Think of how many times you wished you had acted sooner in the past. How many moments you replay, wondering what might have changed if you had trusted that inner prompting. God is giving you another chance to respond differently, not to condemn you for past hesitation, but to invite growth. This is a moment where maturity is formed through action. Your response does not need to be dramatic. It only needs to be sincere, a message sent, A prayer spoken, a conversation started, a step taken. Small acts done in obedience carry spiritual weight far beyond their size. Heaven multiplies what is offered willingly. If you choose to ignore this, life will continue, but something will feel unsettled. A quiet knowing that you were called and did not answer. That weight is heavier than the fear of acting. God is giving you the opportunity to choose peace over regret, obedience over delay, trust over comfort. Right now, God is close. His presence is not distant or demanding, it is near and inviting. He is not asking you to run ahead of Him, only to walk with Him. Each step taken in obedience invites the next instruction. Each yes opens the door to another level of clarity and confidence. Do not underestimate how quickly things can change when you respond. What feels like a single decision can set a chain of events in motion that affects lives, including your own. Breakthroughs often begin with uncomfortable obedience. Blessings often follow courageous yeses. This is your moment to answer the call, not with perfection, not with certainty, but with faith. God is watching not to judge, but to guide. Heaven is ready to move the moment you do. Choose to respond while the invitation is still warm, while the urgency is still alive, while your heart is still listening.